actually this championship could get decided, like you say.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. I'm okay. This is going to be a very, very interesting experience. I'm not going to lie, but because I think this might be the first podcast that we're actually doing on the League of Europe. But yeah, I mean, TriCast in Division 3. I suppose it was just sort of written for it. 3 people still left in this championship. There's frees everywhere that are going on around here. So yeah, I'm expecting this to be a very good race. Like you say, championship could be wrapped up here. May not. I don't know. 6 points in it. Anything can still happen.
Yes, indeed. And basically, if Tope wins tonight with the fastest lap or wins overall, then he has a chance to win the championship tonight. But if he finishes lower than first, then obviously the championship goes down to the final race. But Luke must do well tonight in order to get a good result. He basically must finish second or higher if Tope wins, and he must finish third or fourth. Ricky must finish 6th if Tope wins, and vice versa. Well, we'll go through the championship standings as we go along, so we'll keep an eye on that. So this circuit has been made quite a history in recent times, including the homeboy Ayrton Senna as well, winning his debut race in the Brazilian Grand Prix in 1991. There was also Chaos in the Rain back in 2003, where there's hundreds of red flags and yellow flags and safety cars and you name it. And also we've got the 2008 Brazilian Grand Prix, where we saw the Isaac Glot moment as well. So that should be interesting. We'll keep you an eye on the permutations as the race goes on, but so far Brent is the fastest lap time on the board with a 106.9. He is eliminated for the championship, but he's now going in for a bit of glory, because I think the constructors could still be decided, but it is all down to a few teams for that as well.
Yeah, still down to a few teams, like you say, for the manufacturers, and it's been kind of the same as the drivers, really, hasn't it, for the teams the whole way through the season at the moment. It is Williams that still lead the way. They've been pretty much the most consistent team for the season for manufacturers-wise, but yeah, interesting to see if potentially other teams could get up in there. I think Aston Martin, of course, right up there, but they've not really had 2 solid drivers in the car for, well, the best part of the last half of the season, and that remains the case today, as we've got Passé back for the first time this season, which is nice to see. His exam season has finally finished, and he's decided to turn his PlayStation on for the first time in 2 months. He's back in, and he's already up to 3rd, which is really, really nice to see as well. And yeah, plenty more stories, I think, to talk about championship-wise as well, haven't we? We've got that big battle at the moment for 6th in the standings right down there as well. Darian Rex currently locked in that fight for them as well. So yeah, plenty of stuff to pick up on tonight.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, and especially, like you say, those top 3 guys, Luke's still within that chance, about 19 odd points left between himself, Tope and Rick, literally separating all of those guys. As you say, RJ not here tonight, but he's technically out of this championship, but could still have that battle for 4th with Brent, especially if Brent does well tonight, considering that he's currently on par with a 6.7, the only person in the 6s so far tonight in D3. There's still that chance that he can claw that back on RJ, and even then for that 4th place finish in Abu Dhabi next week, anything can still happen with that. Like you say, all around as well. Everywhere else on the board, Darian Rex, that IRT battle going on for that 6th place. Old School, Cam K, Bunty all battling for that 8th place as well. Obviously Old School not being here tonight, really between Bunty and Cam K. Still not forgetting, by the way, I'm still on 75 points in this division, so they're all still battling with myself for that 8th place in this championship. So Mark, you've still got to do better. You've got one more race to do it. I wonder if he will do it. We'll see though, but yeah, as I said, a lot of times, even with the constructors as well, you know, Daria and Tope are doing an exceptional job, and honestly, I think they win this constructors here today. Championship wise, I don't think it's wrapped up today though.
No, I think with the gap being so close between the top 2, I think Luke has been putting some stellar performances recently, and I know he has momentum on his side at the moment for some of the races he took part in, but he can't afford to bottle it tonight, because if he does bottle it, then he's in a had a lot of trouble. Same with Kurik as well, as Luke goes through Jung Sao now to finish off his lap, his 2nd lap of the session. He could be the next person into the 106. He's purple in sector 2, so his lap is looking very, very tidy indeed to get into pole position. He takes the shortest run to the line, and what time is it going to be? A 106.825, which is just shy of Brent's provisional pole time of a 106.7. 5.9. We've got Mats, who is on a lap at the moment in the AlphaTauri. Not the best of seasons for Mats, currently down in 14th position. Didn't score any points last time out in Canada, but his best result pretty much has got to be China and at the beginning of the season as well. But this is a track in the past where Matt seemed to enjoy very, very well, and even though he haven't had the best results here, he seemed to have some good battles here. So he's coming towards Jung Sao as well. He's also purple in Sector 2. Is that daydreaming for Matt, or am I seeing things at the moment? But anyway, Matt's in the AlphaTauri then. What can he do? Can he get pole position, or will it be good enough for the top 10? It is P5. Pretty decent lap.
Yeah, pretty decent lap for Mats. Like you say, he's not particularly shone so much this season. He's been solid, but he's not had those standout rounds yet. He's not had that one random podium that he seems to have every season. He had that last season at Austria. Not had that yet, so maybe tonight is the night where that could be the case. I'm looking as well at the two Ferraris. They've had really good form recently, haven't they? Charlie and Parrott, fairly new to this division as well. Charlie's just coming to the end of a lap at the moment. Only time for him is a 108 flat, which isn't competitive, but I believe that was on the medium tyre. He is now 0.8 of a second up, so he should now jump up to around the likes of where J-Luke and Mats are, which is more where we're expecting to see the Ferraris for tonight. Parrott as well has just started a lap. He's already gone a 10th faster in the first sector, and as I say that, Charlie's decided to completely ignore what I was saying and dived into the pit lane at the end of the lap. So I wonder if that's maybe Charlie potentially wanting to start outside the top 10. The alternate strategy here isn't all that powerful, though, I would say. I don't think it's that strong here, and we know that this track is all about DRS trains, so I don't necessarily know if that is the plan, to start outside the top 10. I don't know if that's going to be all that fruitful.
No, exactly, and I can see that the other Ferrari is just making his way up towards the line. FRL Parrott, is he going to be putting himself within the side, the top 10? He does, just besting both of the Hasses, and of course, one of the championship protagonists of Rick, starting in P11 at this moment. No one, well, there's a lot of people still left in the pits, and I've been expecting a lot of them to start making their way out of the pits very, very soon, maybe even around now, about the 2.5 minute mark. So a lot of guys probably also going to be starting their laps as well. Wrecked was one of them, but I think must have made a bit of a mess up on his lap, so he's not going to be carrying that on at the moment. So right on board with our championship leader of MLE Taupe, making his way around the end of Sector 2 now, just coming down that hill, and he's a 10.5 up on his time. So this will put him up ahead of Passe in that P3 spot. Of course, maybe not into the 106s unless he had a bit of a bad Sector 3, but realistically it's only just a one corner in Sector 3, so if he did, then this would be an immense time game for Taupe. Where does he go? Up into P6, up ahead of Rex. So I thought it was going to be a lot better of a lap than that, but the German that's leading this championship, only P6 at the moment, needs to probably do a little bit more if he wants to try and secure this championship tonight, especially considering that the championship protagonist of Rick down in 11th, of course on an outlap at the moment, and Luke, sorry, in P2 with a 6.8. Both of those guys are going to try and battle to try and get as many points as possible up ahead of Toto for tonight. Luke's the one that's succeeding at the moment. Rick, however, could be putting himself in danger.
Yes, we've seen how quick in real life the championship could swing in someone else's favour or even close out the gap. Remember Lewis Hamilton last year, he was so many points down to Max Verstappen and in the final 3 rounds, including Brazil, where he came from last pretty much on Saturday afternoon to win the race on the Sunday. So, to be honest, anything can happen for Luke in the Aston Martin. He's got the pretty much nothing to lose. If he doesn't win the title, fair enough. If he gets closer to his main championship protagonist, then that's a win in his books as well, as we're seeing people moving out of the way to complete their final runs. There's a bit of traffic going through the final sector right now as well, so let's hope people can have their laps in at the moment. Even though we have 15, 16 drivers, there's still going to be quite a lot of action. Rex is on 2 lap old soft, so I'm guessing he thinks a tyre deg is not too bad, but you can technically go into the pits around about lap 12, 13 for the undercut and then go on to a set of mediums, but realistically, the softs can last 16 laps. You can stretch it a little bit, and we can see varying strategies. We have seen safety cars in many divisions last season in Brazil, even though it's on reduced, so anything can happen in that respect. I'm still shocked as to why Rex though is on 2 lap or horse. We'll have to wait and see. Marty goes into the pits. I believe that's his qualifying done. We've got, I think, one of the Red Bulls on a lap. That is Maverick. He has unfortunately invalidated, and we got Cam on his lap, but we've got, I believe, Luke on his next run. Is it going to be enough for pole? Yes, it is good enough for pole. 106.606, and he's the favourite out of the championship protagonist at the moment, but there's still people on laps. Can any of our championship protagonists do it? Can Recurrent do it? No, he can't. He's only in 12th position. And where's Tope on track at the moment? He's also invalidated. So at the moment, it's advantage Luke going into the race.
Yeah, advantage, like I say, Brent just crossed the line. He can't improve on P2. So Brent's been at the front the whole session on. Luke has come and stolen it at the very end. Passe able to get into the sixes to solidify third. But that is about it, I think. I think pretty much everybody is done. Mats is on a lap at the moment, but he is down through the second sector. So I don't think he will be improving. Tope, like you say, up to the line. He's invalidated. So, yeah, that is it. And wow, a little bit of a surprising qualifying session, I would definitely say. I think Luke up the front is not too much of a shock, but to see Tope and Recurrix so far down the order in qualifying is a little bit of a surprise. They're not usually that poor in qualifying. They're usually very strong, especially Tope. He's been in the top 3 or 4 in qualifying for, well, the majority of the season. So to see them both so far down the order is really, really interesting.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, and especially, well, we've seen instances this season where Rick has been towards the back end of the qualifying anyway, but at the same time, he's always made it up in that race. He's usually the ones that are better than in the race rather than in qualifying, and he needs to try and provide that tonight. Of course, Luke and Brent rounding out that front row, Passe and J-Luke just behind him, Rex, YHYY, Marty, Mats, Tope and Maverick in that top 10, Parrot in that poleman's pole position. I would say that, however, I've been told it's a full wet race for today, so not technically in the poor man's pole position. That's going to make that even harder for Rick and Tope to make their positions up in 9th and 12th. Cam K 13th, Darian 14th, Bunty and Charlie rounding out the back row of the grid as well. So, yeah, I think anything is going to happen, especially if it's in these full wet conditions, is what Brent and Rex have been telling me. Anything is going to be happening in this race. I'm sure of it. We'll probably see quite a few safety cars. And again, I don't think we're even going to be able to get any interviews done tonight because of it.
Yeah, exactly, because I think all 3 of us have got a race at 8, which you can check out on the LOE YouTube channel. But yeah, ignore the soft to medium strategy that I was talking about a moment ago. That's gone right out the window. I think it's the first time we've had a full wet race without any changeable conditions, but anything can happen in Formula 1. We've seen people say, oh, it's going to be a full wet race, and it turns out it's going to be dry at the end, and we'll have to wait and see. I do see some wet tyres, and it probably strongly suggests why not many people went on the memes, and the ones who did go on the memes, they probably didn't check the weather. This is good news for some people that like the weather. Remember, Recurrent did well in the wet conditions this season, so he can come from 11th on the grid, but it's very hard to overtake in these wet conditions due to the amount of spray that these guys have as well. Imagine what it's going to be like on the new game as well. So no need to get the tyres up at this moment in time, because we all know what tyres people are going to be on. But just in case you don't know, everybody is on the full wet tyres, standing water everywhere. Good job I'm not around this track in the wet. Let's hope it doesn't happen tonight later on.
Definitely don't curse it, please. I don't want the same either. Yeah, if this track couldn't get any more difficult to overtake on, making it a full wet race is going to be torture for some of these people, especially those that maybe didn't qualify that well a bit further down the field. It'll be interesting to see whether it stays full wet conditions the whole race or whether it switches to intermediates. I think the crossover between a full wet and an intermediate tyre is actually fairly high around on this game. You can run the intermediate tyre for the majority of wet conditions, apart from incredibly wet conditions like we're seeing right now. So that could switch kind of randomly at some point in this race to an intermediate shod circuit, really, and that could maybe spice things up. But other than that, I think drivers will be relying a lot on other people making mistakes, and because this track is relatively slow speed for the majority of it, you're not going to see a lot of people falling off the road and having big crashes here. That just doesn't really seem to happen. So yeah, it's going to be interesting who's got the best wet setup. Maybe those at the front of the field like Luke and Brent have gone for a dry setup in qualifying, hoping that they get the track position, and then they may not have the pace in the race. The one wet race we've had this season, I think, might have been Portimao, if I remember correctly, and I remember Passe in Portimao not having a lot of pace at all in the wet conditions. He plummeted through the field when it started raining. So, and I think that race was won by our fellow commentator J. Cole. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
I wish you didn't bring that up.
Yeah, just inflate the ego a little bit more. But yeah, we've not really seen like proper wet conditions, like you say, so we don't really know who's going to be the standout in this race. So going into the unknown a little bit.
I'll tell you what, both of the Haas boys, they're finished, so it's probably in their nature that they love a bit of rain. YHYY and Rick, and especially with YHYY being in 6th position, I think that might be one of his highest qualifying so far this season. I think he has got a very good opportunity, especially considering he's placed between both of the Alpines. I honestly, I think Brent as well, very good in the wets. Luke, very good in the wet. Anything can happen in this race.
Yeah, indeed. So grab your popcorn. We're going to be in for a crazy race. Let's just say in Division 3, anything is unpredictable in this league as we're waiting for the final drivers to make their way onto the grid. I believe that's Charlie in the Ferrari as he's starting last. Can he make his way from last to a certain position on the grid? Anyway, the 5 red lights are coming up on your screen. Luke's on pole, Brent alongside. And we got a few drive-through penalties already. 3 drive-through penalties. So that could change the outcome for some of the people. And one of them is our championship leader, Tobe. And Marty's out the race. That was a big piler in turn 1. And I think Passe was one of those as well. We got a VSC. And it's already been carnage before we even got to the centre S's. That's how crazy it is at the moment. Parrot's got a penalty as well, but only a 5-second one. Luke and Brent got away while YHYY is up to P3 in the process, and like you were saying, YHYY is good in the wet. Well, it's proven that, but I wasn't expecting 3 drivers to get a jump start. Maybe one person was caught out by the other, maybe, and it caused a chain reaction.
I think the crucial thing as well was our championship leader, Taupe, has got a drive-through penalty for a jump start. That is big for his race. And I think if we remember back to Portimao, we had our front 2 jump the start, didn't we? Yeah, we had the front 2 in that race. That was Taupe and Luke. They both jumped the start on that day as well. So it seems to be maybe a thing of the wet conditions that these drivers just can't see the lights and they just jump the start. 4 people jumping the start is crazy. By the way, I was on board with Passe for that incident. Passe didn't get the best of starts. J-Luke had a better start, but Marty flew off the line. He was so fast off the line. They went 3 wide, and I don't think Luke or Passe, J-Luke or Passe really knew it. And they just kind of got sandwiched in the middle when they spun themselves into the wall, which is why we saw Passe drop to the back of the field. I think J-Luke has managed to just about get away with it by the looks of things, but he is now down to 6th position. Well, make that 5th when Toke comes in for his drive-through penalty.
Yeah, it was actually Marty. It was actually Marty that started that entire chain reaction. He was the one that actually jump-started out of everyone. Everyone then, Cam K, Charlie and Taupe, all for some reason ended up following him with that. So that was what caused that entire chain reaction. Of course, we now got all of those guys that did jumpstart, and other than Passe, of course, Passe getting his wing fixed as well, all coming into the pits. A little bit further up on the head, though, Rex all over the back of the fin of YHY for this final podium position. Those top 4 already pulling out about a 1.5 second gap from J-Luke down in 5th. So J-Luke may have a slight bit of damage, or probably not just the best in the rain. But at the moment, it's looking like those top 4 are just going to be clearing off everybody else. Very unfortunate for Passe, though, on his race return. As I said, not a very good start, and obviously with everyone having those drive-throughs behind him, just managed to get up alongside him, and it just caused that chain reaction, as you said, for that virtual safety car. So very unfortunate for him, but it looks as if J-Luke has now sort of gotten back on his feet a bit more and is starting to pull back in with those top 4 guys. But at the moment, Luke's still in the lead, doing a very good job. Just needs to try and hold off that charge in AlphaTauri to try and at least gain a lot more points back in this championship for himself.
It does take a while for the tyres to warm up, so maybe J-Luke was doing a little bit of a George Russell in the wet instead of the dry, potentially, as well, getting the heat into his tyres as well. As I was just saying that, he was in the grass there and lost a bit of time, and there goes old Maverick, who's had some much better results in the last couple of races. Got past him and up into P5 as well, but J-Luke is going to retaliate onto the right-hand side, heading towards turn 1, round the outside, heading towards the centre. We've got the Alfa Romeo trying to go side by side as well with Matt. That is Bunty in the PA. I think Maverick just about gets the move done there, heading towards turn 3. Yes, he does. And that is a good position for him so far. Don't forget, these 4 wet conditions, if it stays like this, they could go the whole race on these tyres if they want to. I know in the game it says you can't do that, as in the tyre life, but you don't have to go to a different tyre compound in the 4 wet conditions. You can stay on these tyres for the whole race. Some people may want to do that, and if you're the likes of people who got your drive-through penalties, why not do that? And unless there's a safety car, that's probably a good option for you. We'll have to wait and see. Has Matt's all over the back of J-Luke? Yeah, I think he's got a bit of damage or something like that, or maybe his tyres are a little bit too hot, because otherwise Matt will not be catching up to him like that, and Maverick is already starting to pull away, and there's no DRS in these wet conditions either, so they're not going to rely on a few tenths per second to get even close to that at the moment. So yeah, J-Luke is struggling, but Matt is definitely capitalising on that, and so is that Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, Bunty looking really fast at the moment, and PA, I think he's the one that maybe from the back of the field, he's the one that's gained the most places so far, and he's the one that's looking to work his way forwards a little bit. And as you say, J-Luke, yeah, definitely does have damage. He's into the pit lane then at the end of lap 3. You did see him as he speeds into the pit lane. We did see him a lot as, oh, Bunty down the inside of Mats. That is a late dive down the inside of turn number 1. Can he hold it around the outside for turn number 2? Yes, he can. That is a lovely overtake from CPI Bunty, and he's up another place into P6. That Alfa Romeo charging through the field now, and that's put Mats now under pressure from Parrott, who's right behind in the Ferrari. Does Parrott go for the inside at turn 4? Yes, he does. He has a look down the inside. Really, really late on the brakes once again. A little bit of a tap, but gets the move done. Can Dari capitalise? He's not quite close enough, but Parrott up a place now, and it's Mats that's starting to drop back through the field a little bit. I'm wondering if we're teetering on the edge maybe of intermediate tyres, because a lot of these drivers are overheating these wets by the looks of things. They're understeering all over the place, and that's now Dari down the inside of Mats as well. So Mats is just starting to get swamped a little bit by the pack, and Rikurik on the previous lap had a wobble at turn 4, lost a couple of places. He's trying to work his way back through. It's all off the road. Dari's gone. That's Dari. Oh, that was a really dangerous re-entry from Dari as well, right on the apex of the corner. I think everybody's gotten away with it by the looks of things, but that could have been a really horrible crash.
I think Rick actually did make contact with him when he came back in front of him. Rick, again, he had a good start, and I don't know if it's just because he's overheating these tyres as well, but he's just dropping back through the field, and he's now back down into 9th position. He would have been up with where Bunty and Parrott are at the moment, but yeah, Matt's coming into the pits. I'm assuming with that contact that happened with Bunty in towards turn 1, I think Bunty, when he sent it up the inside, I don't think Mats was expecting it. Had that wobble, and yeah, front wing getting changed for Tim Mats. So he is not going to be, well, challenging for any sort of points unless another safety, or unless a proper safety car comes out. There's yellow flags going through sector 2 and 3, which I believe is the Frenchman of Passe, still trying to find his feet back on the F1 game, of course. But yeah, these top 4 completely run away with it at the moment. Maverick, by the way, doing a pretty good job in P5. He's only about 3.5 seconds behind these top guys, but that gap really hasn't been getting any bigger since he stopped that battling with Rick and Bunty. So with that, Bunty as well, just looking a lot quicker than what Maverick is, and you can already see it just from how he's braking a lot later than, of course, the American, but at the same time, Bunty trying to put an immense amount of pressure onto Maverick to try and get that P5. And honestly, I think Bunty might be the only one that will be able to catch up to these top 4 guys. Might be best for Maverick to sort of let Bunty through and just try and stick with him to try and close back up to those top 4. Of course, no DRS like we said, but at the same time, I think that might be the best thing for him to go ahead and do.
Yes, Maverick actually scored 10 points last week as well, so it was his best result of the season because he was very, very unlucky as well. But we know Bunty is quick. Bunty has also had some better results in the past couple of weeks as well, apart from Canada, where he didn't score any point at all. He was very unlucky indeed, as we've got, I think, Maverick's desynced on my end, or we've got some timing tower glitches, which I haven't seen in quite a long time at the moment, so hopefully it does fix itself very, very soon at the moment, as we've got another phantom yellow flag right now. Luke still leads from Brent in P2, and White Worldwide doing a solid job in 3rd position, and they'll be probably thinking about going into the pits very, very soon, as Rikurik setting the fastest lap of this race so far with a 1:18.6. He's probably quicker than what I could do on these wet conditions, but he's not able to catch up to Parrott the way he would have liked. But if he could go a few tenths a lap quicker, or even a few seconds a lap quicker, then maybe he can catch up sooner rather than later. But he's got to be 3 seconds clear of the guys in front in order to do that as well, because otherwise he could be out of this championship fight. But the advantage is Tope's having a bad race as well, so if Rikurik and Tope both have bad races, this will allow pretty much a 3-way championship fight still to go to the championship decider in Abu Dhabi. So we've got Bunty trying to get past Maverick then for P5, going around the outside in towards turn 1 at the start of the center S's. Can he keep it clean? It's very, very calm and collected. Maverick is lagging on my screen. Let's hope he fixes internet sooner rather than later, but that is Bunty up another position, and is one place more than what he was expecting, not gonna lie, as well, as Dari unfortunately has retired from the pit lane, and that is Williams' day has gone from bad to worse. A poor showing for the Williams pair so far. Let's hope Tope can fly the flag for the British team.
Yeah, it's all up to Tope now, like you say, and Tope starting to come back a little bit better in this race. He's the lead of those that have served that drive-through penalty. The fact that Tope's had a drive-through penalty and is only 3.5 seconds behind his championship rival Rekurik is saying something about, I think, how up and down Rekurik's race has been so far. We're only 7 laps in, but every time we cut to Rekurik, he's either overtaking somebody or having to avoid a crash. He's not had a clean run of things so far. He's straight back onto the back of Parrott's car as well. And yeah, like you mentioned earlier on, Bunty now up into P5. It's up to Bunty now to try and close back in on this top 4. He seems to be the only one that has the pace to do so, but it's still not happening for him on this lap. He's 4.3 seconds off the back of Rex at the moment and hasn't found any time on this lap. He's not losing time, but he's not gaining anything either. He just can't seem to find a march to go forwards in this race, which is a little bit of a shame for him. Luke here right now must be kind of hoping that the race ends now, because for him, this is massive for his championship. If he can win this race with Rekurik and Tope not having good races at the moment down in 8th and 9th, he could be on for a really, really good points haul in this race. But I think at this point in the race, I think we're just seeing these drivers kind of drive within themselves now, seeing whether it's possible to get these tyres to the end of the race and then making their decisions on whether to make the one stop in this race or whether to stick it out and hope that they can get to the end on the same set of tyres, or maybe thinking that it could switch to intermediates at some point, so they've just got to keep these wets intact until that is the case. So yeah, I think it's just now starting to calm down a little bit.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And an interesting thing here as well, if the race was actually to end like this, Luke would actually go in the championship lead ahead of Tope, which is quite bizarre considering that Luke is still about 19 points behind Tope. He would go in the championship lead by, what, I believe by about 2 points at this moment. And Rick would be 4 points or something like that behind Luke. So that would literally be the gap between these guys. It would be a 4-point difference, if my maths doesn't mistake me, or it might even be a 6-point difference between the top 3 going into this final round, if it was to end like this, for example. But yeah, Luke doing an exceptional job at the moment up in front. Rex, I'm not going to lie, I think Rex might actually be the fastest one out of the top 4. He just can't seem to find a way past YHYY. YHYY is doing a very good job of just keeping the American behind him. Brent, just sort of, I think he's just quite content with where he is at the moment, just sitting in 2nd position, but a little bit further on behind the other Haas of Rekurik. Of course, the other championship protagonist trying to go around the outside of FRL Parrott in towards turn 4. Parrott doesn't really leave him the space down the inside, and Tope is now only 1.5 seconds, excuse me, behind Rick. So Tope, with that drive-through, he's doing an exceptional job of catching up to Rick. Rick, again, he's not having the best race whatsoever, especially to help his championship hopes. And with all of that now, I say that, Tope is now within 1 second of Rick. So 1st and 2nd in the championship, currently battling for, well, with Parrott, for that P7 position, whereas the other championship protagonist, he's quite comfortable in the lead at the moment. He just keeps on, he's just having that gap about arm's length from Brent in 2nd position. And Luke, I think he's just quite chill at the moment. He's just doing what he's doing, and he's just running away with it.
Yeah, he's got a few podiums this season as well. I'm sure he wants to go with another one, even a win. He wants to go with another win, because he's got 1 win this season to his name as well, doing very well in that Aston Martin as well. And Brent, I think, will need a bit of redemption after the last few weeks as well, being out of the championship fight now, and he's doing a solid job as well, trying to keep up with YHYY. But we know YHYY is quicker than Brent in the wet, I have to say. But I'm looking at YHYY's fuel levels. He's on the cusp of running out, to be honest, because there is some times where he's on yellow warning light, and there's some times where he's absolutely fine. So to be honest, he's just got to lift and coast through a few corners, because otherwise he's not going to make it to the end of this race. Some people have underfueled, hoping there will be a safety car, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble if there isn't a safety car, and that could allow Rex to be on the podium. I would say Rex will be in a good shout for P2 if he keeps this up as well, but they just can't seem to overtake. They're just working together to keep everyone else behind, and that's allowing everybody else to have their own squabbles at the moment. And we've got 13 drivers still in this race, and if there's one more retirement, don't forget, everyone in this race will score points. So I think we could have the battle for the final point, but at the moment, Passe is not going to get that final point, but he's still going, thinking that he could get some points on his return to league racing as well, but he's probably still a bit rusty, like you were saying. So he's just probably expected to finish, and anything more, it's pretty much a bonus at the moment. As Rex is looking to try and get past YHYY into the centre S's. Then let's see what happens. Parrot's also going to try and get past Tope in towards turn 3. So there's so many battles happening at once. Rex doesn't get past YHYY, unfortunately, but can Tope get past Parrot down the inside into turn 4? He's not. He's going to back off for the time being. He's got more ERS compared to Parrot, but Tope just falling by the wayside at the moment. 9th position, and that's allowing Luke to close up the gap to Tope in the championship even more.
Yeah, it is. Tope just a little bit stuck at the moment, can't find a way through. He's seen Rekurik just drive up the road a little bit and into the clutches of Maverick now. So Tope's trying to do the same thing, but we know it is so difficult to overtake in the wet. You've got to be fully committed to the move. Tope tried the move at turn 1, just wasn't really far enough alongside to be able to hold it at turn 2. So that's another lap he's spending behind the Ferrari that he will not want to see. One thing to note as well, I mentioned earlier on he wasn't gaining any time. All of a sudden, Bunty is catching these leaders hand over fist. The gap's down to 2.7 seconds when it was about 4.5 only 3 laps ago. So Bunty really starting to up the pace now in that Alfa Romeo and is closing in on the top 4 in this race. And it could be a top 5 train very, very soon. Tope again down this straight. He's using a lot of ERS as he can do in the wet. Parrot's moved to the inside line to defend the line, but I don't think Tope would be close enough anyway. No, Tope not close enough. He's not confident enough on the brakes to go for the dive bomb move. So stays behind Parrot for potentially another full lap. He's not got the run through 2. He won't be close enough down towards turn number 4. So Tope for another lap will have to sit behind Parrot.
Yeah, no, and I think the Williams is just going to get a bit frustrated, especially like how Rick was as well, with the Ferrari just in front of him. And speaking of Rick, he has now caught up to the back of the American of Alt Mavericks. So Rick could be trying to make his way up as well to try and get within that top 5 and try and minimise that gap at the moment as well. I'm still just trying to do the maths in my head, so as to where, like, sort of like a live championship standing kind of thing. But at the moment, yeah, Luke is still going to be the one taking this, or will be in the lead of the championship at the end of this round. However, the more positions that Rick and Tope make up, where they're both battling with a car at the moment, then again, that's just going to sort of minimise that gap that Luke's going to be building up. But Luke is doing everything he possibly can at the moment as Maverick picking up a 3-second time penalty, and I believe that is the first 3-second time penalty that we've actually seen in this race so far. Of course, Parrot and Charlie having those 5-second penalties under that virtual safety car when that came out at that very chaotic start with, of course, Passe, Marty and J. Luke as well. So yeah, at the moment it's a bit of a battle here as Rick trying to go down the inside of Maverick in towards turn number 1. That's more points gained for the Finn. Maverick though is going to try and hold it down the inside in towards turn number 2 through those center S's, but I don't think Maverick's going to be able to get the traction out of that corner, especially in these wet conditions. It's very difficult to do that, and Rick now up into P6, 5 seconds down the road from CPI Bunty, who is still trying to catch up to the back of that top 4. Parrot just trying to defend from Tope as well. Tope's trying to do everything he can to get past the Ferrari, but the championship leader just can't seem to find anywhere, as Parrot has a bit of a mistake. Parrot's now going to try and go defensive coming up towards the hill. Tope has to take to the grass. Parrot just moving over on the racing line. Not exactly the best move from the Ferrari, but keeps that position regardless. I think we might see a little bit of a Steers report from Tope after that, from that afterwards anyway. But yeah, not exactly a very good move from Parrot. Tope though having to stay down in P9, but Rick now up into 6th. He's got a 5-second buffer to try and catch up to the Alfa Romeo, but if anything, I think the Alfa Romeo is catching up to his top 4.
Yeah, indeed, and Tope just needs to finish 6th or higher for Luke to possibly be a threat to this championship, possibly be eliminated, but he's doing all he can at the moment. If Tope finishes 7th or lower, pretty much everyone, as in Tope, Rekurik and Luke, will still be in this championship fight going in towards Abu Dhabi, and I think Tope is probably livid at the moment as he tries to go down the inside into turn number 1. Can he make it this time? Not quite, as we've got Parrot trying to get the switch back as they make contact with Tope. I'm sure that's going to be a Steers report, unfortunately, as he takes Pirelli boards with him as well. That was a bit of a shame. Usually we go down the inside there. Sometimes it can be a bit of a risk, because we got Cam that gets past Tope as well. There is yellow flags for a little bit, so it's going to be a while, and Parrot has dropped down as well, so I wonder if Parrot has got damage too, and I wonder if Tope's going to park the car at the moment, but he shouldn't, to be honest. If he parks the car now, then pretty much the momentum will all be on Luke and Rekurik going to the final race. He wants to have the momentum going into the final race at the moment, and if Tope does not score points, Rekurik must finish 7th or higher to get the championship lead, so he will get the championship lead. And Luke must win, basically. So Luke's still in this to possibly take the lead, and so is Recurric as well. So that is another position Tope has lost due to that fact as well. Can Brent get past Luke for lap 15 and 36? No, not quite, but Rex is looking good though. He's looking to get past YHYY, and again, he can't get past as well. The dirty air is just not helping at all at the moment. They must not be liking this, trying to get past. It is going to be down to strategy at the moment. We thought Brent was going to go for a move then, but he does not, unfortunately. As Tope goes into the pit, is he going to park it? Well, we will see. I don't think so. He's going to probably have a change of front wing, most likely, and he's probably following my advice just to keep going in this race.
Yeah, you have to keep going for the points, aren't you? But I'm sure Tope is going to be livid with how this race has gone for him. Of course, his own mistake with the drive-through at the start, but yeah, that incident between him and Parrott was really unnecessary, unfortunately, wasn't it? Parrott was really desperately trying to hold on to the position and just kind of sent it into the apex of turn 2 from an angle that was never going to work and took the pair of them out, which is, yeah, a real shame for Tope, and is him now down into the final points playing position, which is such a shame as well for Tope's run of consistency, isn't it? He's had, I believe, 6 podiums in a row now, has Tope. He's been so strong in recent rounds, but today it's just kind of all unravelling for him at the worst possible point in the championship, especially with Luke leading the way. And now that Recurric is in clean air, Recurric is the fastest person on track. That gap that was 5 seconds to Bunty is now 4 seconds down to Bunty, and Bunty likewise is still closing in on the top 4, so it's all starting to concertina up a little bit in the top 6. So while he had a horrible qualifying, it's starting to play back into the favour of Recurric at the moment. Luke's still right up there, like you say, but Luke has got loads of pressure from behind. So, yeah, it's hard to say who's going to be coming out on top after this one, but I think it's definitely fair to say for Tope's championship chances, tonight has been a real kick in the gut for him.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, down in 12th position, like you say as well, and then, yeah, Tope, I think he's just, this is a miserable night for him at the moment. And again, a safety car would play massively into his hands as well. At least then he'll be able to get a couple jumps on maybe the Ferrari boys, and of course Maverick with that penalty as well down in 7th position. But at the same time, yeah, this is not exactly what Tope would have wanted for his championship hopes. And yeah, he will be losing out this lead in the championship as soon as, well, once this race finishes, if it does finish the way it is. Like you say, I believe Rick will be the one that actually goes into the lead of the championship now that he's up in 6th position. But Luke will then be joining them with being in that championship as well. So it is looking like, at this moment, it's going to be a three-way championship going in towards Abu Dhabi. Luke, again, like I said, he's just playing it cool at the front at the moment. And yeah, Brent just can't seem to find an answer. YHYY can't seem to be quicker than Brent, and Rex, again, just content with sort of sitting behind YHYY at the moment. He probably wants to be in 3rd to get that podium position, but at the same time, he's just happy with where he's sitting at the moment. YHYY, the same as well. They're saying that the Finn is on his ERS to try and maybe get a little bit more closer to Brent to try and go for that P2 position. YHYY haven't really seen too much from him or do too much since probably I would say around even season 4, where I believe his last win was actually in Hungary in season 4. So I'm kind of rooting for YHYY to try and maybe make a move at least on Brent. But yeah, Luke at the moment just doing a very good job of sitting in the lead of this race. Rick doing very well, catching up to Bunty as Parrott has crashed at the exit of turn 3. I was saying they needed the safety car, or Tope needed that safety car. That safety car has now come out, and Tope can probably breathe a bit of a sigh of relief because he will now be with those top guys, or will now be back within that pack. And well, this safety car restart, I think this could be a bit of an interesting restart.
This is going to get very tasty indeed. And I was just looking at Parrott's car as Tope was going past. It looked like Parrott's car was bouncing, and that was where a lot of people went off in 2003 race, if you remember, as well. Would people have the opportunity to go onto some fresh tyres, or would you want track position? Well, YHYY, Rex, Bunty and Recurric have all gone for fresh tyres then, so they think that the wet tyres won't get to the end successfully on optimum pace. Maverick's AI is in the pit as well. Charlie's got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is not good. Cam is also in. I think Matt's, I won't be surprised if he goes in as well. And, well, Tope is only on 1 lap for wet tyres, so he's going to be staying out, and Passe will probably come in as well, so he will avoid being lapped at the moment. So technically, the only people that it's not coming is our top two that wants trap position, as Mats goes in as well. Ooh, it's a tough decision. If I was in the cockpit, I didn't know what to do. If I was near the back, obviously I would pit, but if I was near the front, I don't know. What would you do, Raiden?
It's hard to say, isn't it? I think I can understand why Luke and Brent have stayed out. I think they maybe thought that potentially they would lose track position, but the problem for them is that literally everybody behind has come in onto a fresh set of wet tyres, so they are now pretty much sitting ducks, especially if those wets start to burn off towards the end of the race. Tyre wear naturally in the dry round here is fairly high, so I would say it's going to be a bit of a struggle for these guys to get the full wet to the end of the race without some sort of pace drop off. And the fact that YHY has been able to come in, put a fresh set on and not lose any positions is perfect for YHY's race. So yeah, I can understand why Luke and Brent has stayed out. However, I do think it's the wrong choice for them to have done so. I think they are now just putting far too much pressure on themselves to get these wets to the end of the race with any sort of pace left in them. And the second YHY can get a move done on Brent, you would imagine that he'll be straight onto the back and past Luke, especially if the tyres wear off. Yeah, it's kind of yeah, you kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, if you're Luke and Brent in this situation. But I think they've made the wrong call by staying out.
Yeah, no, they definitely have, and I think they're just going to be sort of swallowed up from the rest of the guys. I mean, they can take those wets to the end of the race, but at the same time, it's not really going to pay them any dividends with that. YHY, on the freshest set of wet tyres, the Finn, I think, has now got the best possibility of taking this race win. As long as he can stay with those top two after this safety car restart, which he has been pretty much the entire race, he's just got a time when Luke and Brent are going to be going. I think the Finn might have a very good chance of taking this win. If he does that, that then really sort of throws Luke off for that championship, for the championship hopes, because Rick as well, down in 6th, the other Haas car has pit as well. So Rick is really going to be also trying to capitalise on those top two, not making that pit stop. But at the same time, despite being on maybe more worn tyres, as weird as this could sound, they're going to be a lot more heated up and a lot more ready to go compared to newer tyres, just because they've already done 18 laps on those tyres. They can just keep on going with those tyres no matter what. I know with the safety car restart, it's going to be a bit more difficult for them to try and get the traction off on them, but if they just manage to sort of get a very good restart in comparison to the rest of the wet tyre runners that have pit, then Luke and Brent, it's not technically over for them. They just need to have that good restart and just hope that YHY can't exactly pass, well, especially pass Brent anyway. If he doesn't, then yeah, I think Luke could still have this in the bag. But yeah, for those top two not pitting, it doesn't really make that much sense. Taupe now back within the rest of the pack as well, up into 9th position after that contact with Parrot, and of course Parrot now DNFing in this race. Yeah, Taupe now up into 9th. Again, with 4-lap-old wet tyres, has done a couple of laps on them as well, so they're not exactly new, but at the same time, might actually be in the best condition in comparison to the rest of the wet runners.
Yes, indeed. And don't forget now, since there are only 12 runners in this race, we're Parrot retiring, which means everyone that finishes this race will score points, and that will be good news for Passe. If you first don't succeed, do not give up, I have to say, and Passe is definitely an example of that. So Luke is leading, Brent in 2nd at the moment. They're going to be on the most warm tyres, but they'll be able to get those tyres up to temperature a lot more quickly. We did see the likes of J-Luke, who struggled at the start trying to warm his tyres up, as a few other drivers have as well. So it could be advantage to them for the first 2 laps, and then when the ones on the full wet start to warm up, then they could be an advantage as well. But like we said, Rex and Bunty and YHY couldn't even get past the top 2, so we don't know what is going to happen. Let us know your thoughts in the chat, guys, on who you think is going to be winning this. For only one driver who's got a time penalty so far, that is Maverick. I wonder if he's joined back in the session or not. I think he has. It's hard to tell because it's not ghosted in a safety car condition. Safety car is in this lap then as they head towards Jung Sao now for the first time in his safety car period. Luke will be controlling the field. He's got to know when to accelerate, really. He can't slow down as soon as he accelerates, otherwise other people, including himself, will get caught out. Brent will have to respond to him very, very quickly soon. So will YHY. So when is Luke going to go? He's going to go Now, let's see if he has a good restart. Both of them got equal restart, to be fair. I think YYY was caught off guard there. And Rex has had a fantastic restart as they head towards turn 1. But YYY covers him off quite nicely indeed. But Kurt has had a good restart as well. Down the inside of the Alfa Romeo, heading towards turn 2 and 3. Couldn't quite do it. We're seeing loads of moves being made at the moment. Tope still in 9th position. Didn't get the best of restarts either. Luke is already a second. Clear of Brent. So Luke's restart, it's gone to perfection.
Yeah, perfect start for Luke. Like you say, he needs to get the gap up now as much as he can. He's got to start pushing and pull that gap and hope Brent can hold the rest of them up. So, brilliant start from Luke. And yeah, YYY almost losing that 3rd position to Rex, but just able to hold on to it. I think Rikurit could have had the move done on Bunty, but I think Rikurit got baited into breaking so late into the corner when Bunty pretty much missed the corner and Rikurit went with him. If he'd been able to do the switchback, that would have been an easy move for Rikurit and up into 5th, but he just wasn't able to quite do so. So yeah, they stay as they are for the time being. Nobody's made a move as of yet. We've got to keep an eye on Tope as well to see whether he can come back through the field. His first target is Cam K in the 2nd Red Bull at the moment. So yeah, looking good so far. It's all fairly neat and tidy, but I think potentially the one that's looking the most aggressive at this restart is Rex. He's again right on the back of YYY coming out of Yungzhou.
Yeah, the American's really trying to make his way through this, well, up and towards that podium position. And I was saying now, watching Tope, he's on board, he's on the back of Kamke, going down in towards turn number 1. One American might end up getting past, one might end up getting overtaken, and one has definitely been passed. So, yeah, Tope now up into 8th position. He's got the other American of Alt Maverick just up in front of him in the other Red Bull as well. So Tope now up into 8th position, and this is really going to be starting to help his championship hopes as well, as FRL Charlie now going to try and go down the inside of Kamke in towards turn number 4 as well. Kamke's going to leave him that room on the inside and keeps that position, so very nicely done from Kamke to keep that 9th position. But Maverick already losing touch from those top 6. Those top 6, especially Bunty and Rick, are the ones that are looking the quickest at this moment. Luke, though, as you say, very good restart from him. Brent as well, both sort of keeping their positions very nicely indeed from the rest of those guys. YYY, like you say, definitely got caught off guard from that restart, but now that he's gotten those tyres a bit more into fruition, I think we're going to start to see some moves go down for these top 4, or the top 6, shall I say, now that Bunty and Rick have caught back up within this. Saying that, Bunty, look how close he is to the back of the American. They're all so close. You could probably fit a bedsheet all over all 3 of these guys from 3rd down into 5th position. All so close, and you can really see they're all using their ERS just to try and get a bit more of a gap from the rest of the guys. I think the only one that actually wasn't was Rick, and you can see he pulled out a little bit more of a gap from the rest of them. But yeah, at the moment, those top 5 all just running in one line at the moment, and yeah, at the moment, Luke just keeping that position. I don't know if anybody wants any updates from the other divisions though, very quickly, but at this present moment, Justice and Campbell, that battle for that championship lead, Campbell has been spun around by one of the Red Bulls. So Justice in the lead of the race at the moment. If it remains this way, it goes to 1 point in the championship leading into Abu Dhabi between those guys. And then yeah, exactly. And Division 4, Patsa Japsa at the moment in P4, whereas Rezify in P8 at this moment. Rezify that D4 championship will go down to Abu Dhabi as well by about an 8-point deficit.
I think most of the championships will go down to Abu Dhabi as well, apart from Division 5, where Major's pretty much going to win the title tonight because its championship rival is not here tonight. So, yeah, 4 divisions out of 5 going to Abu Dhabi. That'll be amazing, won't it, for League of Europe? So let's hope Division 3 joins that party later on, as Tope is currently in 8th position, so no one will be eliminated at this moment in time, as Cam has had a bit of a moment past Zhang Zhao, and he's been passed by quite a few drivers. Tope's in the pits. Tope's in the pits. Did Tope get damage?
I wonder if this is for intermediates. Is this potentially for intermediate tyres, I wonder? If he's got damage, and that is, again, really rotten luck, but I don't know if we see a front wing. There is a front wing there, so maybe he has had a bit of damage. Yeah, he has, and it's another set of full wears. Why? It's just not going Tope's way today, is it? I thought that would have been maybe a strategy call, but no, he's clearly had an incident with somebody. He was racing Maverick, so he must have had contact with the back of Maverick's car somewhere, or with the side of him, and just as it was looking like it was coming back towards Tope again in this race, it's just fallen away from him, and he's now down at the back, and without another safety car, that is 12th pretty much solidified in this race for Tope. And Oh, just not had the luck tonight as the Williams driver, has he? It's just been a rotten evening so far for Tope, and that is such a shame to see. And especially as well, manufacturers-wise as well, neither Williams has had a good race. Dari is out, Tope only scoring 1 point, would put Aston Martin back in the lead of the manufacturers, even with only one full-time driver attending tonight in Luke. If it stayed like this, not only would Luke potentially take the championship lead, but Aston Martin would take the manufacturers lead going into the last round as well.
Cool.
Yeah, no, exactly. So all to play for now within the last 12 laps of the race. Luke's still doing a very good job at the moment. Brent as well. Both those guys on 24-lap old wet tyres. I don't expect them to make a pit stop at all unless it does go to intermediate tyres, which would then, of course, be the much quicker tyre than those wet tyres. But at the same time, I actually don't think that these two are going to pit at all. They're going to try and run these wets to the end of the race, and that could be very, very... Well, this could be very, very interesting with these two guys. I lost the word of what it was actually going to be. Risky is the word I was looking for.
A gamble.
Luke and Brent... Yeah, exactly. It'll be a massive gamble between these two guys if they try and hold this out to the end of the race, which is looking like what they're going to be doing. Bunty just pushing Rex coming through up the hill. Bunty down the inside of Rex. A little bit of contact between a pair of them. I think there's a bit of decent contact between them. But Rex and Bunty still both side by side, now making their way through turn number 7. A little bit of a squiggle, a little bit of a squirm, sorry, from Rex. And Rick's now going to try and go around the outside of Bunty. Bunty touches the back of Rex. Rick going to hold it around the outside as well. Rick going to have to leave that position. Rex now dropping back from the rest of those top three because of that contact with Bunty and the battle between them. Bunty, a little bit of aggression from the Alfa Romeo. It just hasn't paid off for him. If anything, I don't know if Bunty might have even picked up damage from tapping the back of Rex from that. It looks as if he's still going perfectly fine, but if he has got minor damage, that has really screwed him over for the rest of this race for trying to at least get on the podium. YYY as well, losing out to those top two despite being on much fresher tyres. So despite Luke and Brent being on 25-lap old tyres, they're running very, very well in the remaining or in the latter stages of this race. And it looks as if they might even keep those top two. Again, if a puncture comes, that's them basically out of it.
Yeah, pretty much as well. And championship update as well with Tope being in 12th position. Pretty much, Leclerc and Luke going into the final in Abu Dhabi. Well, Leclerc must finish 6th to take the lead. Luke must win. They're both in 6th and P1 respectively. They're probably going to be tied on points going into the final round with Tope going to be in P3 going into the final round as well. So coming into this race, Tope being the one with a massive advantage going into this, he's going to be in a massive disadvantage going into the final round. Who would have thought of that at the moment? Remember, Leclerc was leading the championship for quite a bit going into the last few rounds as well, with Tope being a bit more consistent. That's helping him in that as well, and it shows how much the championship has changed hands, as I was saying earlier, as Luke is doing very well to keep a consistent pace on Brent at the moment. 7/10 per second separating them. And it just goes to show that being on the fresher tyres is not benefiting some guys too much, as they're not being able to get the move done as well. And we've seen like that in Monaco in real life, where track position is key as well. But to be honest, Brent and Luke are fast drivers in the wet. Brent's usually done a good job in the wet as well, so I'm not really that surprised. YHYY could be on for his best result. I think he's just going to hold on to 3rd at the moment. The leading person on the freshest tyres. Watch out for him to the end of the race, as Tope has got the fastest lap at the moment. That could be huge in terms of points, to be honest, because if you just get fastest lap, then that basically that can help him pretty much close up the gap to everyone else in the championship, like Luke and Leclerc, for example. So let's just hope for Tope's sake no one else gets the fastest lap, but I think there could be other people that could snatch it, because we know that some guys are incredibly fast in the wet, like Rex, for example. So we'll have to wait and see. Not that long to go until the end of the race, and it's been quite exciting so far. But we got a yellow flag, as I was saying that, and that is Maverick that's had a bit of a spin. His front wing's completely gone. Oh. And safety car. Oh, that's the second safety car of the session. I would stay out if I were the top two. Again, I would stay out at all, to be honest, apart from Toby's got to have a change of front wing. He's just shown early on in the race that being on the fresher tyre doesn't make a difference. It's just about holding on to that position. So I would not pit unless you got damage. So Maverick, I would come in, obviously. Tope, maybe I would come in as well. Everyone else should stay out, I reckon. But yeah, We'll watch this race until the end. Don't bother watching D1 and D4. They're coming up to the end of their races. We've still got the outcome to decide for this one. And pretty much, Luke and Recurric are still in this fight anyway. Tope's only going to be in 11th now at the moment. But if Luke wins, he'll be in the fight regardless of where Tope finishes. And that will be huge.
Yeah, will be huge, like you say, and Tope up another position. This is a somewhat of a saving grace for him, this safety car, that he's now back in the pack again and he can start to work his way forwards. He'll be within penalty range of Mats as well, which is good for him, so that's another position. Rex as well, though, getting that time penalty, that's crucial for his race and for a lot of other people's as well. That's another position gain for Recurric if he can stay within penalty range of the Alpines. So that, I think, would put Recurric into the lead of the championship and Luke just behind after this race. So yeah, it keeps turning on his head, doesn't it? And Tope keeps getting these breaks. He keeps getting gifted these little moments that can help him save his race. And this is, again, another opportunity for him to save his race. I'm still holding out for someone to potentially switch to an intermediate tyre. The rain has gotten lighter recently. There's less standing water on the track, and we know that the difference between the wet and the inters isn't all that big in terms of how much water they can clear on this game. So I kind of want somebody to take the risk with a set of intermediate tyres just to see if it pays off. But no one's taken that risk as of yet. As I say that, Passe's into the pit lane, so maybe he's listening and he might be the one to pull that risk. We'll wait and see. But it would be nice to see, and it could spring up a few surprise results potentially. We'll see what Passe goes on to, whether it is going to be intermediate tyres. No, it's not. It's another set of full wets. So from 9-lap-old full wets, he's gone to a set of 2-lap-old full wets for not really any particular reason from what I can tell. So that is another pit stop for Passe. He drops behind Tope. Maverick's in again because I think the game put him on an old set of wet tyres. So he's come back in for a new set of wet tyres. There we go. So nobody, unfortunately, taking my advice of going for the intermediates.
Yeah, no, they certainly haven't. So, yeah, I don't know why Passe did make that pit stop, to be honest with you. If that's just dropped him another position from Tope. So, why he's done that, I really don't know. But we've, of course, got to wait for Passe and Maverick to catch up to the safety car before we can get this restart straight underway. But, yeah, Luke and Brent obviously still not making their pit stop. This time, understandably, not making their pit stop, just because, you know, they had a very good safety car restart before. These safety cars, if anything, are actually just helping them to preserve their tyres a lot more whilst burning around under these laps. So, yeah, at the moment, Luke and Brent, I think, are on for an absolute cracking result. I think they may end up finishing these top two. White, Rex, Bunty and Rick, they've not at all capitalised on the fact that there are much fresher tyres than those top two. So they need to try and do something, especially White and Rex, considering that they're the top two on those fresh wet tyres in comparison to Luke and Brent. They need to try and do something to get past Luke and get past Brent. But at this present moment, obviously with the safety car, once the safety car comes back in, Luke's of course going to be taking us through that restart. We've got one more lap under the safety car now because of Maverick still not, of course, closed up to the rest of the group. So safety car will more than likely be in at the end of this lap, on lap 30. And yeah, at this present moment, Luke and Rick, I think it is a two. In fact, I think what I calculated it at is a 4-point difference that Luke will go in the lead of this championship ahead of Rick, but it will be about a 2-point difference up ahead of Tope in this championship, where they're all currently finishing at the moment. So yeah, 4 points is really what this deficit is going to be between the pair of them. And yeah, this championship is definitely looking like it's going to go down to Abu Dhabi from the way that it's finishing. Of course, 6 more laps left to go when we do get underway. And yeah, an interesting thing to note as well, Rex did pick up a penalty. So that means that Rick and Bunty will at least, and Charlie, will all jump ahead of the American if they do finish within the 3 seconds of them. So Rick might end up gaining yet another place just by just sort of sitting behind Bunty if he wanted to because of Rex's penalty.
Indeed, and I'm looking at the results from Division 1 and Division 4, just a bit of an update. Just As won the race in Division 1 as well, and the race is just about to finish for Division 4, and we've got first time race winner in League of Europe. ERT Jordan's won that race by I don't even know, because I think it's a photo finish, I believe, as well. So good job to him. I can't remember where Resify finished, but that championship will go down to Abu Dhabi next week, which I'm very excited for. Safety car in this lap. Luke had a good restart last time. Is he going to have a good one this time? We've got 6 laps to go until the end of this race. Thank you to those of you who just joined us from the other divisions. If you do like this stream, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when to check out our streams next. And follow us on Twitter at League of Viewer. Luke has had an almighty restart heading into the start-finish straight. I think everyone else has been caught unawares there. The person who's also had a good restart is, oh my God, YHYY and Rex. Oh my God, there's 2 cars that are out of the race already. And they both had good restarts, but caught unawares there at the moment. I'm surprised that hasn't caused a safety car. But Luke still leads from Brent Bunty. Recurrix in 4th. Charlie 5th. Matt 6th. Cam 7th. Tope 8th. Tope's got to get past 2 drivers in order for him to be ahead of Recurrix in this championship, which I think is very, very important at the moment. But wow, I was not expecting that. Right, YY and Rex won for a good result, and they're now both out of it. We only have 10 runners in the Brazilian Grand Prix.
Yeah, that was such a shame. I was riding on board there. It was a great restart again for Rex looking down the inside of YHYY, and I don't know if they just drifted together, but Rex just seemingly just kind of drifted to the right and into the side of YHYY's car down the pit straight and turned both of them into the pit wall. So it was a really unnecessary incident, unfortunately, and that is such a shame, especially for YHYY. He didn't have a penalty. He looked set potentially for a podium, and that has now gone completely. No points for him on the board. This does help out his teammate though, Recurrix, then up into 4th position, so more points coming his way. Tope's up to 8th now as well, and he's onto the back of Camk trying to get a move done for P7 on the road, so we'll see if he can get this move done on the Red Bull. He's been overtaking Red Bulls left, right and centre in this race. Can he go round the outside at turn 1? It's going to be a bold move as Bunty and Brent going side by side into turn number 1. Tope round the outside has got the move done on Camk. Bunty though, crucially, has got the move done on Brent. So finally we're starting to see those fresh tyres make an impact, and here comes Recurrix now down the inside out towards turn number 4, and Brent, does he go for the move or does he back out of it? He goes for the move down the inside. Brent leaves the space and then kind of just understeers wide. Rick down the inside should have the better run. Brent into the side of the Haas, a little bit sideways. Charlie's through now as well round the outside of the AlphaTauri. Can he hold the move round the outside up through Ferragura? It's going to be bold of him to be able to pull that one off. Brent still down the inside for the next corner, but I think this one should be advantage Charlie as they head through to the next corner down the inside. Charlie just has much more grip on those wets and nothing Brent can do, and now we're starting to see those older tyres cost these drivers time. Brent lost 1 position and then couldn't find the grip back to be able to hold on to any of the places behind, and he's dropped 3 places in about 5 corners.
Yeah, and that means that Luke is now going to be massively under threat. 32 lap old tyres for the Aston Martin. This could look like that Luke might not end up going to Abu Dhabi with this championship lead, because here comes Bunty, both on their ERS. Bunty wants to try and get this move done to be in the lead of the race. Luke's going to try and go defensive in towards the inside. Goes Bunty though, straight down the inside in towards turn number 1. He gets the move done, and Luke now down into 2nd position on 31 lap old wet tyres, and Bunty now up into the lead of the race. Rick is now also going to try and see if he can get a move done on the Aston Martin. Bunty's going to try and go defensive in towards turn number 4. We've got 4 more laps left to go of the race, and at the moment Bunty now taking the lead of the race. First overtake on Luke since the beginning of this race, and Luke now down into 2nd position. The 2 championship rivals of Luke and Rick, as well as Tope down in 7th position, but Luke and Rick trying to battle out for that 2nd position. Rick gets this move done. Luke is basically out of this championship, and it's looking like he could be out of it. Charlie giving a little bit of a tap on Rick at the back though, and that allows Brent to sort of close back up to those top 4. But yeah, Bunty now into the lead of this race. Luke has been leading this entire race since the start. If Rex and YHY didn't have that coming together, I think that could have been a lot more difficult for those guys that are on those wet or those fresher wet tyres to get those moves done on the guys that had yet made a pit stop of Luke and Brent, because YHY and Rex were just struggling. Plain and simple, they were struggling to get past those 2 guys who had not made their pit stop. But Luke not pitting now, it's now hurt him in the long run, because we can see Rick, we can see Charlie, they're both using as much as they can to get this move done on the 2nd position. And I think Rick, he might even see it in towards turn number 4. The Haas might go for this move and try and risk it to get himself in this championship lead and make this gap even further from Tope and from Luke.
Indeed, and Luke must score points if Tope was to finish where he is at the moment, so he'll still be in the fight, but considerably he will be at disadvantage now compared to his championship rivals. But Recurrix just has to finish 3rd right now, and he's 3rd at the moment, and he could get past Luke. Luke has had a bit of a moment then, past turn 5 heading towards turn 6. if Luke's not careful, then he will need a miracle next week. He will basically need the other 2 drivers just to not score. But what a shame. He's pretty much been a dominant force since the very start, led from the very start, and all it took was him not pitting in order for this to be the moment. But to be honest, those tyres are pretty much almost at puncture territory right now. He has got to lift and coast, short shift, whatever, to make sure that he keeps Pete. He's lost the win now, no question about it, because Bunty is absolutely flying. All he's got to do now is try and defend Recurrick from P2, which is easier said than done. Recurrick has got brilliant straight line speed. He's going to use his overtake. He's got plenty of overtake, 50%. Is he going to go down the inside into turn 1, or is he going to wait for the final lap? We're seeing Recurrick is purple in the final sector, so Recurrick could be the fastest man on track right now, and that extra point could pay dividends to the championship finale going into Abu Dhabi, so any point counts. Recurrick's got a second chance in at the moment. Is he going to go to the inside or the outside? He's going to go around the outside then, heading towards turn 4 to see the Delago. It's getting very, very tight actually as they go up the hill, heading towards turn 5. Luke just about has the inside line, heading towards turn 6. They bang wheels almost. This is the closest they've been all race. Recurrick is going to have the best line, I think, and the fresher tyres. Recurrick just about gets P2, and Charlie, after having a spin earlier on, is up to P4 and he could get on the podium.
Yeah, Charlie now trying to get through, and just what happened to Brent. Luke is just getting swamped by the pack now. Charlie down the inside, really tight to the inside of the corner, but could he get the run maybe towards Jungsao and get the move there? No, he can't quite do that, but Luke is really struggling on those wet tyres now. In fact, Charlie's going to go for the move down the inside of Jungsao, try and get Luke offline, and that can help him down the straight. You can see Luke is just sliding all over the place. He's got no grip whatsoever. I'd imagine Charlie surely's going to make this an easy move. Yeah, Luke's got nothing to defend with. He's so slow in a straight line in comparison to the Ferrari. He's trying to pin him to the inside as much as he can, but I think Charlie would have the better brakes here into turn 1 down the inside. Oh, he makes a bit of contact. Luke kind of swipes across in front of Charlie trying to defend the position. They just about get away with it, but Luke really aggressively defending this third position, trying to hold on to as many points as he can. Charlie again gets another run down towards turn number 4. Can he get the move done? He's not going to be close enough. It's going to have to be a bonsai move at some point in the midpoint of the lap for Charlie to get onto the podium, but what a shame for Luke. That last safety car has completely ruined his race, what would have been a dominant victory for him, and now he's looking like the outsider once again in this championship when he looked like he could have been the favourite going into the final round. But a word for Bunty. Bunty started this race so far down the field. He's gained 14 places in this race. Bunty started 15th in a full wet race where they've not changed from the full wets at any point, to gain 14 places in this race and win this race on track is one hell of a performance from the Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. And I'm just watching back a little bit further as well. Taupe still struggling to get past Tim Mats as well on this final lap. So Taupe looks like he's going to finish in 7th position. They were both side by side with Tim Mats in the fight, leading in towards turn 1 into the final lap. But we go on board with Bunty as he will take the win around Brazil, round number 16. Amazing. Rick will take 2nd, and Luke will end up taking that final podium position in the end. Despite that, an amazing effort to keep on those wet tyres, FRL Charlie does end up finishing in 4th, and I don't think I managed to catch the rest of the order, but it was so close in the end. I think it was Brent that finished 5th, Mats was 6th, Taupe was in 7th in the end, Camke in 8th, Passe 9th, and Maverick in 10th, and that now changes that championship lead once again at the end of this race. Rick now goes back into the lead of this championship, with Taupe finishing in 7th and Rick finishing in 2nd. Rick now goes into the lead of about 6 points. I think it's an absolute role reversal that Rick is now 6 points up ahead of Taupe. If Taupe gets 6 points and Rick gets 18, that's 12 between them, and it's a 6-point difference already. So yeah, 6 points Rick will go up ahead of Taupe going into the final round, unless Rick picked up the fastest lap or Taupe picked up the fastest lap. Luke, very unfortunate for him because he made such a good effort to just hold on to the lead of that race, and like you say, that second safety car just did not work out for him. And yeah, unfortunately for him, he finishes on the podium once again, but it's a lot lower than what he would have wanted.
Well, at least he's still in the championship fight, which is a good consolation prize, but surely he wouldn't be leading the championship going into the final round. But still, he's still got a chance. But the least chances out of everyone else, but anything can happen in Formula 1. So I'll go through your provisional results before the stewards, of course. I'm almost certain there will be a few stewards investigations by the end of tonight. So Bunty wins from 15th on the grid, pretty much from... Is it? No, it's not last, is it? Let me have a look. It's from... second to last, so almost a last to first challenge, not quite, but he's done a great job nonetheless. One of my my drive of the day, actually. Kurt from 12th to 2nd, Luke from pretty much P1 drops down to 3rd, Charlie from last to 4th. That's an incredible performance for him. Brent in 5th, Tope has recovered to 6th place. He also gets a pass at that point as well, which should help him a lot. Cam has a good point scoring finish again in P7 after starting 13th. Matt's in P8, Passe 9th, Maverick in 10th. And those are your finishers, believe it or not. Your DNFers, which are 6 of them. YHYY, Rex, Parrot, Darry, J-Luke and Marty. Marty didn't even make it through turn 1. So Recurrent leads this championship. Tope will be in 2nd. Luke will be in 3rd. Three-way fight going into the finale. I can't wait for next week.
Yeah, I can't wait for next week either. It's going to be really, really exciting to see how this championship goes down. And it's a completely different circuit again next time out at Abu Dhabi. So whole new challenge for these drivers to try and muster really for this final round of the season. And yeah, Recurrent now back on top. It's great to see 3 drivers still within a chance of this championship fight. But with the way it's gone so far this season, you've got to say Recurrent is, even if he wasn't leading the championship, I've got to say Recurrent has got to be the favourite going into Abu Dhabi. It just seems a track that could potentially suit him really, really well. So, yeah, I'm really excited for Abu Dhabi. It's always a great race strategy-wise around there as well. So, yeah, really excited for that. And I'm actually quite happy that for once a wet race that we've commentated over wasn't a bore fest. It was actually a really good wet race, which is very few and far between at this point on this game. So really nice to see a full wet race that was actually really entertaining to watch.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I'm very happy, of course, that we've... it was the first experience of doing a TriCast, and it turns out it actually worked out very, very well. So hopefully we can do a bit more of that in the future. But yeah, I mean, this title fight is you said, it's come down to the wire. Rick leading it by it's actually 5 points because Tope did pick up the fastest lap, so it's actually 5 points that Rick is leading up ahead of Tope, and I believe he is 16 points up ahead of Luke. So Luke really just needs to win and just hope that Rick and Tope have a bit of a bad qualifying like they did tonight. But again, it doesn't matter how bad of a qualifying they both have. They both finished 2nd and 6th in the end anyway, and Rick ended up overtaking Luke. So, as I said, it's happened before with Rick. It's happened again tonight. Rick, no matter what he gets thrown at him, he will still end up finding his way somehow within that top 5, and he's proved that entirely this season. So, if Rick does win this championship, in all honesty, it's deserved. And yeah, as I said, I feel like this could be a bit of a very interesting end to the race, to the championship, sorry, especially at Abu Dhabi with those top 3.
Exactly. Abu Dhabi is known for being a 2-stop race as well, and we know what's happened in Abu Dhabi in real life, but we're not going to go into that. It's the last time the actual old layout will be used in LOE as well, so a chance for drivers to get used to it for one final time. We're going to be heading off now. No interviews tonight because, as you can see, look at the time, it's 5-2, and all 3 of us have got a race next, and a certain someone in this party as well is also in a championship fight. So, Aidan, best of luck for the final 2 races, mate.
Thank you very much. Well, yeah, really looking forward to this one, and yeah, make sure to tune into Divisions 2 and 5 in about 15 minutes time. There'll be really, really great things to watch, and yeah, I can't wait for D3 next week as well. It's going to be really, really great.
And thanks to Jacob for joining us in the commentary box as well, impromptu, but I think it worked quite well. We hope to see more of these in the future. I've been Jess Ball, and obviously we've got Jacob and Aidan Cutter joining me. We will see you next week, same time, 6:30, for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Make sure you tune into Division 2 and 5 on in about 15 minutes. So thanks for listening. We will see you soon. Bye-bye.